The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, David White.
And welcome all to another exciting edition of the Power Trading Hour with me, our humble, lovable, and squeezably soft host. Once more into the breach do we go, dear friends. As always, we like to come to you at this time.
The following takes place between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m.
And as we check in with the markets at this time, we're off 8 points on the S&P cash. Volume's about 3.1 billion shares, so pretty huge volume for a fairly small amount of movement in the actual S&P. A lot of action out here in the NASDAQ. A lot of people looking for a faster horse. And some of these things are actually starting to crack in the NASDAQ, although the volume in a couple of these that I'm looking at, really fairly low. Going to test previous lows on less than half the volume, or maybe around half the volume. We'll have to see how the end of the day comes. Of course, we're kind of hanging out at this 2190 on the S&P cash. And why there's a lot of juice, there just doesn't seem to be a lot of push down. We're a couple points off the lows of the day. But everybody kind of jiggling for position out here. We had gold down a little bit before earlier in the day. It's basically back to flat. This is kind of the first area of support, but we've already pierced it. We'll look at volumes here in the next couple of days and see what gold is doing. But this is the first level of support. Of course, if you break it with volume, you've got some significant downside from here. But at least flat on the day for those folks. What else do we have as we look through this? Dollar index is off about 40 cents. And there's a little bit more to that. The big news out here is the TLT. It's off another percent, 1.33%. So we'll look at that. We've had some indexes that probably should have gone a little higher. The IBB had some good news this morning with BLUE up a pretty big whopping amount. It's in the IBB, but doesn't seem to be giving it a lot of love. Looks like a lot of people trying to get behind U.S. companies out here today. We'll see how the end of the day comes in. But, some of these I've had one that was kind of down, actually had a pretty good day today in a down market. And we'll look at some others that had some little blow-off tops. One we were talking about yesterday that I was hoping would continue into the end of the year, but no such luck. As always, we like to start off the day with a little bit of history.
And it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
It is history repeating on this day in one of the many market crashes that have littered American history. The panic of 1853 is in free fall as leading blue chip stocks like the Delaware and Hudson Canal Company, the Panama Railway, and the 6th Avenue Railroad drop as far as 31% their levels at the beginning of the year, and some like Parker Vane Coal Company have lost 89%. So what else can you say? History, it doesn't exactly repeat, but it does rhyme on this day in 1853. After the bell tonight, we've got Ambarella, which is, of course, the company that makes the chip for GoPro. We'll see how they are doing. Five Below, which is kind of like a dollar store, except it's $5. Smith & Wesson, the gun company, or as some people like to say, the original click and point interface. Get that? Click and point. Ultra Salon, the giant salon company, and Workday, the company that I really just love the business and the CEOs. One day I hope to be able to find this thing at a point where I can actually buy it. Technicals have never been right on it. although I like the business. What else is going on? That's kind of it. It's a mad world. We'll start looking at charts a little bit earlier here today. You can always give me a call at 877-927-6648. And you can send an email to me at path@tfnn.com. But we shall see how this continues on. What else do we have out here? Yeah, this. I had one that maybe I got in just a hair too high, but I loved the stock and I loved the sector. And now I even love it more because guess what? It's testing a previous low on half the volume. So it's always nice when you can be in a stock and actually have just another leg down that isn't that big. And, you can get saved yet a second time. I love the business long term. But what can I say? Still out buying stocks today. I think we have a good chance for some big short squeezes into the end of the year. And some of those have already kind of crested already. Which one I wanted to talk about? WDC. We talked about how this one is kind of one of those businesses that's going out. This one made a giant sign of a reversal. I was hoping this thing would kind of go up there to the end of the year where I could buy it. No real good signal today other than they ran a lot of these folks. I did a little day trading in this one today. You got to be in and out of it fairly quick. But kind of down around the lows. This is Western Digital. As everybody knows that's listening to this show, we were pretty heavily short this thing back when it was up at 110 on the way down. This is now coming back up. We are actually even short this thing back at around $60 when it came back to 53. We covered that little move back down. Now this thing's getting up here and making a pretty clear signal. We'll have to look at this after the first of the year. I don't want to be short a lot of stuff going into that, but we will continue looking on. But that's one of it. We've got some other stocks that are moving out here today. And why is that still? I got to actually go to my movers little screen out here. We were talking about Blue. This had a great little run out here. And popped up with a lot of volume. It didn't hold that particular high, that September 19th high at 74.95. It only had 1.7 million shares, but you had 5.6 into it today. And then everybody dove in on this thing on some rather good news. And as a short for the day, probably not a bad idea, but actually not a bad looking chart other than the fact that you've come right back in to some giant resistance when this thing fell apart back on the 7th of December a year ago. December 7th, a day that will live in infamy. So anyway, email me at path@tfnn.com. Call me at 877-927-6648 or post a message in the den. What do you have out here? Dollar General had earnings before the bell. When we come back, we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about Wynn, another stock that had a nice short squeeze. It's kind of coming off that today. We've got plenty of stuff to point at today, so we will be back shortly.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. Dave takes your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And, well, we got some breaking news. Mr. Hollandaise Sauce, the president of France, is not going to run for re-election. That's another globalist that bites the dust. Although the head of Germany says that she will run again, I suspect that when push comes to shove, she does not either. She's got, I think, an approval rating of 12%. I don't think anybody really knows just how horrible things are over there in Europe. Our press decides that, of course, that they speak another language, so they must be more suave and just more intelligent than us. And they don't like to report all the horrible things happening over there. But the people are kind of fed up with it. And not only did England leave, but my guess is that we're going to see a pretty big exodus in the near future. And all these people that had been running or had been around for a while in Germany and France are not going to get any traction. Sardowski, what's his name? Not Sardowski. Begins with an S. Who was the previous president of France, said that he wasn't going to run just a couple of days ago. Now we got Mr. Hollandaise Sauce with his freedom fries. He's not going to run. And my guess is we'll have a few more. Sardowski, yeah. And then we'll have a few more. And then, of course, the Prime Minister of Germany. She won't be around, I don't think, too long to kick around. If you can't walk in the 6 or 7 major cities in Germany without getting raped or beat or attacked because of a political agenda that's gone awry, and you haven't figured out that it's time to maybe change tack, it's your chances of probably getting re-election are probably pretty small. So a little bit of that. Of course, I posted in the den earlier, and that was a few really dire predictions for weather going forward in the next couple of weeks. And that just means very cold weather. UNG had already, or natural gas had really started already moving a while back on that, down at 685. This thing did test or come to that gap when we look at it back here, but yet another big move out of this thing, a little bit forecasting. Now you're back up to this gap, and this is where the rubber is going to meet the road for natural gas, at least if you're looking at the UNG for this. This thing came down on the 25th of October on, let's call it 16.7 million shares. So what do we have today? 20 million shares. So what does that tell you? You got some pretty good strength. In fact, you've got more energy off this November 9th low than you had all the way down from the October 13th high down to this November 9th low. And I would much rather wait for natural gas to give me a good signal. In this case, you now have a three-gap play, and you have to kind of watch out for that. Ideally, I would love for this thing to come down to around $7.20 to rebuy it. I know I may not ever get that chance, but for me, especially with longer-term plays, not getting in and out of a stock every 5 minutes, I have to use a little bit more restraint and patience. But, man, if you got if this cold weather kind of fades, you get back down here to about $7.20 and the volume remains low, I suspect that's where we're going to have a rather big move. Everybody's going to think it's over, and that three-gap pattern would be beautiful. Not saying you're going to get it, just saying that that's where I would love to get it, to buy it. There's a lot of things that move. I miss a lot of stock movement. I wait for something that I think that I can predict out here. I know a lot of people would say, oh, it's got to go to 12 or 15 or 20 bucks or 30 bucks, and yes, it might. But a lot of stocks either go higher or lower. We can't get them all, can we? We have to wait until they give us a good sign that I figure out that I can live with. But we will continue on. What else do we have going on out here? TLT really at least starting to maybe think it's getting some kind of at least short-term bottom. This thing is making a nice little spike out here. We haven't had for a while. This gets back into the congestion zone that's a little bit farther back. But what you dislike is this thing got into this 117, 118 area today with 16 million shares. That's not what you wanted to see. You wanted to see something less than the December 16th, 2015 low at 11 million shares or the 10 million share low on November 9th. That heavy volume says that you could open up the doors to the 114.88 low of June 26, 2015. My guess is that maybe you get a little reprieve over here, maybe a little counter trend move, but there's more than enough evidence here with this high volume down day today that 114.88 is the next number that you want to look at for a longer term low out here, because we have busted two previous ones with volume today. GLD, we talked about gold kind of doing a little bit of pullback. You're really not up against anything out here. You just had kind of a lower day out here. The problem is that at 110.63, which is the low today, the real signal comes with a close back above 115.20. So you don't have a great deal of signal out here. You do have a couple of days that had some decent volume out here. Let's see, what is this? February 1st, you had 10.5 million shares. I think that's it, the one I'm looking at, isn't it? Nope. Let's take a look at it here. I think it's right in here. Yeah, the 5th of February, you had 15 million shares. So you can say that you're into a candle with lighter volume so far out here today, but it's that was in that uptrend. And really, I think what you want to see in gold is all these gaps down here finally filled. I mean, you got a mess of them on the way back up. Let's go back out here and find these here so I can show them to you just a little better. Anyway, you've got all these gaps as this came off the September 17th, 2015 low. This thing was gapping every single day out here. So you've got a lot of untraded room back here. Now, can you get a nice move, some ABCs to the upside? The answer is yes. If you're looking at the longer term out here, man, I would want at least some or most of those gaps down there to the $123 September 17th low. That would be a good long-term thing. If you're trading in shorter time frames, that you may be looking at other signals. But if you were going to buy something for the next 6 months, man, I would want that $123 123 cent of December 17th tested. We're at 2191.5 on the S&P cash. We're off 7 points. Volume is coming in at 2.35 billion shares. So huge volume the last couple of days. Not a big movement in here. You'd think that 3.5 or even the 5.5 billion shares we had yesterday, you probably were thinking maybe a 30-point move in the S&P. These are pretty muted moves for massive volume. We'll talk about maybe what that means when we come back.
The Path of Least Resistance is David White's daily trading newsletter, and if you're looking for active trading ideas, then now's a perfect time for a 30-day free trial to this powerful daily trading advisory service. David uses his years of trading experience to offer his subscribers his trading ideas each morning in his Path of Least Resistance newsletter. Using a combination of equity trades along with options, David keeps his subscribers up to date with all pertinent market information with intraday afternoon updates when warranted. Don't miss out on this great chance to get a 30-day free trial to David's daily newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, with no obligation to pay anything. David has been delivering solid recommendations for his subscribers recently, and if you'd like to see the type of newsletter he delivers every morning, then visit the front page of TFNN and you'll find the Path of Least Resistance under Trading Newsletters. For all the details and to start your 30-day free trial today, log on to TFNN.com now. Biotech is booming, but for how long? Whether you think the biotech bull has room to run or has run its course, trade LABU or LABD. Direction's daily S&P Biotech 3 times bull and bear ETFs. Visit directioninvestments.com/biotech today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC. Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
New York Stock Exchange volume pretty massive, just down 8.5 points though, which gives you an idea how much narrower trading range has become as we get into December and also see volatility start to fall. So we'll keep an eye on that. But some pretty massive volumes looks to me like a great deal of changing and looking for a faster horse. Don't see a lot of indication that the big guys tend to be shorting a lot. I do see that maybe some hedge funds might be more in the vein of shorting. But for every buyer, you must have a seller. But 3.4 billion shares already. I thought probably we would have seen today be a lighter day, but a lot of jockeying for positions as we go out here. But some very interesting moves. One of the bigger moves out here was a win as it came up off these lows. Everybody and their dog was short this thing. It did run, pretty much did a 782 retracement yesterday off the 104.90 high, and it kind of rolled back over and down. Volume really hadn't picked up that much. As we've talked before, I think someone was asking me, was it a couple of days ago or on last Friday? Maybe it was Monday. Every day kind of just blends in. I was saying that, man, where you want to look at this thing is the $92, $93 range, where this gap up happened on the 21st of November, and a gap down happened on the 3rd of November. And that's probably where you're going to see this thing come in, is that $93 level. But would make kind of a nice little ABC, maybe up into the end of the year on some short covering. We looked at TLD. I got a request to look at the IBB real quick. Actually posted it in the den today. Most people don't know what's in the IBB, and for the most part, a handful of stocks are the biggest weighted, but that thing's got like 160 stocks in it. So it's pretty massive for an ETF. I actually made a list out this morning because I wanted to go through exactly how blue affected this one. Didn't really open that well, kind of rolling back down. But what we don't have is a lot of volume. A lot of people very bearish on this sector. What I don't see is the volume in this one actually is looking kind of sweet. This gapped up on the 9th of November on 11.3 million shares. What do we have today? This thing's coming down on 1.2 million shares so far. So 11.3 million shares compared to 1.2 million shares. You had your sign of strength. You're about halfway through this thing. This is going to be very interesting to see if you find any buyers over the next couple of days, probably at about 267. You would want to look and see at that thing. If I was short off 294 with a volume today, I would have to say that I have a real problem thinking that this thing is going to go after the 240 before the end of the year. I would much rather this thing pull back up to 294 on light volume and then pull the trigger on another retest of that November 10 high. What else do we have out here? We have a request to look at Facebook real quick. What happened to me? Okay. We've talked about this ad nauseum. This one just looked like, even during earnings, we were talking about how this thing kind of, eventually you'll get one of these, the biggest name stocks in the market. Everybody wants to buy it, and it may be the strongest in the bunch. This one's actually coming down. Volume picking up a little. What you're looking for, though, is 51 million shares in. You got about 34 million shares. So certainly not one I would try to get, but my guess is it's going to find a level of support around that 113.55 low, which is the November 14th low. When you listen to the blogs and the podcasts from Silicon Valley, in fact, I listened to one yet again today with Walt Mossberg. It's all about the quote fake news thing. And man, I guess it's an easy way to paint everything with a broad brush. But I found it very ironic that I was watching an interview with President Obama and the Rolling Stone, and the Rolling Stone people were yakking about fake news. And these were the same guys that had the phony stories of the college where everybody was getting raped, except guess what? No one was getting raped. So I'm wondering if you're supposedly real and you have fake news. Isn't that a lot worse than actually being somewhat dubious and having fake news and then calling other people about fake news? I don't know. It just seems to me like there's a lot of fake news out there and a lot of finger pointing. But it was very surreal to see Rolling Stone, who's going to pay $8 million or maybe $12 million to settle that case of fake news. And the funny thing is they knew it was fake news, and now they're talking about fake news and blaming other people that haven't actually published any fake news. So it's a very hypocritical world out there. Although I did have a wonderful quote from somebody. I can't remember what it was in the last day, but it was some quote from somebody. And they said, there is no hypocrisy in politics. I guess that's probably true. Anyway, Facebook down into its previous low, 51 million shares, 34 million shares today. So it's probably going to come in a little lighter, but not near light enough for me to watch the end of the day out here. Do I need to update this? Or is everything just kind of slowed down to a crawl? Okay. Looks like everything's slowed down to a crawl. 3.4 billion shares, 2191 on the S&P cash. We had a little drive-through posting by Andy Heck in the Tiger's Den a few minutes ago. He was talking about some of these crack spread stocks. He'll be with Tom O'Brien in the next hour. We'll probably call that the bull-bear hour for commodities, because I think we've got a lot of people on opposite sides of the street in the next hour, or at least crude and gold. Holly Frontier, nice retest on this one. So we'll see. Let me update this one just a little bit better. This one's going back against its high of the 22nd. That had 3.8 million shares. You've got 2.3 million shares so far. So you see how this comes in. It did go above the previous high. It has kind of pulled back out here. This one had some news, so it's a little bit different than some of the others, and additional shares being pushed out the door. Marathon MPC. Take a quick look at that one. This one's, again, pierced the 4 days of the 22nd, 23rd, 25th, and 28th of November today. You had kind of a nice big sign of strength back on the 21st for a marathon. It's pulled back into this on yesterday and pulled right back up into this range. They don't look that bad. That's what Andy Heck was saying. And I have to agree, although this thing is coming in to some resistance. We'll talk about that when we return.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
Today, it's hard to tell if the economy is coming or going. Regardless, I want my money going in the direction I choose. If that's your stance as well, then you want to know how Everbank can help keep your money thriving just the way you want. Is growing your money a priority? Everbank is committed to a yield pledge promise to pay high yields on your checking, money market, and CD balances. Looking to diversify? Everbank ingeniously developed accessible ways to spread your money around the world into foreign currencies and even non-FDIC insured metals. And when it comes to your wealth, they bring a highly experienced and global perspective to help you manage it. Everbank's financial philosophy flies in the face of the status quo. They believe your money's performance should not be determined by today's economic circumstances, but by the drive to rise above them and create opportunities that favor your objectives. If that excites you like it does me, visit everbank.com/TFNN to find out what they can do for you. Again, that's everbank.com/TFNN. Visit them today. Everbank is a member FDIC and equal housing lender.
TFNN is excited to offer a brand new piece of market scanning software unlike anything the industry has ever seen. John Logan and his team have spent years developing their market profile tools to finally be able to release the TAS Profile Scanner Plus. And right now you can get a 2-week trial absolutely free just by visiting TFNN.com and providing us your name and email address. The TAS Profile Scanner Plus is the premier market profile-based scanner in the industry. Powered by the acclaimed TAS proprietary algorithms, this feature-rich scanner is a standalone desktop software that instantly filters over 2,500 global financial markets such as stocks, ETFs, commodity futures, and Forex. Within 3 minutes of signing up, you can have the software downloaded and running on your computer with a complete roadmap of market indicators and inflection points to trade off using the TAS Profile Scanner Plus. Sign up today and try this amazing piece of software by visiting TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by TFNN. Test drive all the newsletters for free at TFNN.com.
We're going to talk about this line of resistance that MPC is coming into. This gap down on the 6th of February. We talked about how many of these stocks have come back to this 6th and the 4th of January of this year when everything was gapping down. This was on 7.3 million shares. So when we look at here today, not a bad spike by MPC. 5.3 million shares. It had 13 million shares back on the 11th. So you are attacking at least this little gap out here. You got 3 gaps up to about 55, where there's some decent volume on the way back down in Marathon. So you had a gap here. That gap down was on 7 million shares. Then the next day it was on 5 million shares. That goes back to December 8th of last year. Okay. More news. Okay, what else did I have out here? There were a couple more I wanted to look at. Valero, VLO, in that sector. This is the end of our crack spread discussion. This one not looking all that great. Might be looking at an ABC. At least volume did decrease today. Yesterday you had 14.3 million shares, just 6.2 million shares. If you were looking for an ABC, you're basically talking about $15. So half that would be about $7.50. So you'd be looking at about $59. You're actually coming fairly close to that with Valero. If you were looking for an ABC up, you are coming back into this candle. Unfortunately, you had more volume yesterday than the candle of the 9th. So I would say the other two look a little bit better out here on those. And Steve Rhodes is talking about Carrier air conditioners. And my friend Buddy works for them. I lived just down a few slips from him when I lived on my boat for about 6 years. He would come down every weekend, but he lived in Indianapolis and was a big designer of all the scroll pumps over there. I haven't talked to him in a while, but he must be retired by now, I would imagine. What else is happening out here? 2192 to 3.5 billion shares on the NYSE. There's some discussions out there about what fund buying is and isn't. What we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but another question out here. They can buy tomorrow. They can buy Monday still. All it says is they will be 100% invested by a date. Doesn't mean that they have to be 100% invested today or even start buying anything. And it's not a suicide pact either. If the market's horrifically going down, they don't have to buy, although many times they do. They try to average back in and out in those big funds. But again, I think probably the big day that we're going to have for fund buying is probably going to be Monday. I think a lot of people are going to figure out what's been moving today and tomorrow and start setting up, at least on the funds in the street, start setting up their positions for next year. So we will continue to keep an eye on that. Did we go through the rest of them out here? Started to. We looked at Facebook. Let's take a quick look at Amazon. More articles out here today, so it's got kind of a bad hair day for the press. More discussions about antitrust issues. In fact, I think there were a couple of the major newspapers that were discussing this again today. We talked about how this thing certainly probably was a nice setup for an ABC down to the $660 range. My guess, though, is this is going to continue down and find a low around this maybe 710 area or the gap up that, what was that? That's the 15th that's gapped up. But you've got about $720. That's probably where this thing's going to bounce over. My guess is this thing could go for months between this 720 area and the 792 area. And if things get desperate, maybe there'll be enough energy to bust through. But I think you still have the setup to go back and attack this big gap from $650 and actually $665 back down to $600. What else do we have? Wanted to see if there was anything else on my big list of stuff. Let's take a look at, got a request coming in for Microsoft. You can email me at this is down today. I hadn't had a chance to really go back and look at it. Did kind of have a little gap down. Does have a nice little candle. Doesn't have a lot of volume. Still one of the stronger stocks out here. We did talk about how it has tested the October 25th high that had 54 million shares at 61.37 with $61.41. That's 34 million shares. Not a big deal. Down on and not a lot of volume. But again, a lot of these things are just in these bigger trading ranges. I don't know if this thing can get back down to it, but a low volume test of November 14th, $57.28 would be very interesting. If the market, I'm thinking the market kind of stumbles on up, kind of like what we have today is that it's kind of stumbled back a little bit. We're probably looking at a market that's going to stumble up a little bit into the end of the year, and that's where I'm thinking the time to actually pull the trigger on shorts is. Dislike shorting things in December just because, for the most part, volume continues to drop through the end of the year. I think maybe this is a little different. A lot of people, at least this late in the year, are already starting to try to find faster horses, but we will continue on. Question about the stocks. Let's take a quick look at that. I think I'm getting a lot of emails today. You can email me at path@tfnn.com. Well, I mean, you got a sign of strength and you got volume on the SOX S. So that kind of tells you at least what's going to be on the opposite side of that. Let's take a quick look at that. You got some decent volume. This thing had been in very light volume for about 5 days, so that you pulled back in the semiconductor space, probably not that big a deal. you're right back to where support is at 114.21. You probably wanted to see something in the neighborhood of what is that? 865,000 shares today. Getting pretty close to that. 819,000 shares. And if you go back to October 10th, that high, you want 1.2 million shares. So you're kind of in the range, but it's not a blowout of this 114 area. My guess is that this will be the support area between now and the end of the year. We'll look at the SMHs when we come back.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of The Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
Catch Tom O'Brien, professional trader and educator, founder of TFNN. Also, a special guest on CNBC. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
And, we got some little pullbacks coming out here. A lot of stuff going on in the SMHs and those, but I'm not in those stocks. They, kind of went sideways for about 5 days and get kind of hammered out here, but they were up on fairly light volume to begin with. And again, the rest of it is kind of out there. But to me, the money, if you're going to make a lot of it, it's going to be in individual stocks, maybe in sectors, but I don't think in the indexes that you're going to get that much. Like today, the S&P's down 7 points. It's not all that big. You got a ton of volume. It's not able to blow out. With this kind of volume, 3.6 billion shares going into the end, we should have been able to blow out a lot of this. And does it kind of meander down lower? I mean, there's always a chance, but this is not the kind of action with 3.5 billion shares, you should be up either 25 points or down 25 points on the S&P. 7.5 points just doesn't seem right for the volume out here and all the activity, which makes me suspect highly that we're in a lot of people reorganizing portfolios for next year. Everybody wanting to buy something. Had a question to look at the IWM. And what do we have out here? This has not really come off that much. Volume is light in this. If you were looking for something out here, you had a huge sign of strength. You have 3 gaps out here. I'm thinking that, when we get into next year, these 3 gaps will be open for the fill back down to 116. But between now and the end of the year, probably looking at 128 to 132, maybe 134. Maybe we close back up, retest that 134 on lighter volume. To me, if I was going to go short and think that I was playing a 3-gap play here with the first gap at 116, the second one at 123, and the third one at 128, I would want that retest of the November 25th high on lighter volume than the 39 million shares that you have there. So that has it. Question about Netflix in FLX. You can email me at path@tfnn.com. I have a lot of questions today. You've got, again, massive gaps in Netflix all around from 110 to 100. Again, this is another one that looks fairly weak. The unrisky play is to let this kind of move back up into the end of the year. Kind of interesting to see a lot of news that Disney is thinking about buying them. Not really having much of an effect today either way. Kind of back into this thing. Did come back into sign of strength. Did so on a lighter volume. Volume did kind of pick up a few days. But you gapped up with 42 million shares, kind of came back into it with a high of 10 million shares, kind of going a little sideways out here. This thing may get back down to 113, kind of got in there today. This may be it. You might drift a little bit higher. But again, I'm not expecting a big change in the market before the end of the year. And some of these, to set up a decent risk reward, need to kind of go back up and really see that light volume that you normally get starting at about the 15th of December into the end of the year. You can go back and look at last year for a prime example of what happened. And it seems kind of like the same thing all over again. Deja vu all over again. Hang on for the next 2 hours for the Tom O'Brien Show, then Andy Heck at 5. In the meantime, sell when you can, not when you have to. We'll see you tomorrow. Same bat channel, same bat time.
Larry Pesavento has just started his brand new service, Fibonacci 24/7, and he's already delivering content to his subscribers on a daily basis when the market's opened and even on weekends. Each Monday, you'll receive Larry's written report that provides detailed commentary and a summary on the charts and videos that Larry sends out. And throughout the week, when warranted, Larry will send out via charts or videos or both the key markets that he is watching during the day. This will be up-to-the-date, active trading information that will help you in your daily trading. In Larry's first week alone, he sent out 25 charts, 6 videos, and a full report to his subscribers in just 1 week. If you're a technical trader that uses patterns and retracements to trade, then Larry's service Fibonacci 24/7 is something that you must try. Right now, new subscribers can get a full 30-day money-back guarantee. With nothing to risk, sign up now to Larry Pesavento's Fibonacci 24/7 by visiting the front page of TFNN.com under Trading Newsletters.
You're watching Tiger TV.